Hello everybody, it's Mystic and welcome to my library. This is a tips video for Kitaria Fables. So this is not my usual Let's Play. I'm actually going to just take a little bit of this day in the game to talk to you all about some tips and tricks that I learned while playing the last 23 in-game days of this game. And since it is releasing today, I thought it would be a good time to do this for those of you that are looking to play this. These are just some things that I learned. I'm sure I am missing some tips. I tried to think of as many as I could. If you know of some that I may have missed, please be sure to comment down below and let me know. That way other people can hopefully find them as well. But yeah, let's get started on some tips here because there are some things that I learned along the way and I want to share them with you. So first off, one thing that I learned when I first started playing is that you don't need to sleep every day. It's not like a Stardew game or a Story of Seasons game where you have to sleep every day. I do recommend saving every day. And there's books in various parts of the world that you can save at. There's one here, there's one at the inn in Rivero Fortress, and I'm sure there's others that I haven't gotten to yet. But you don't need to sleep every day. It's not necessary. Like, unless you're really low on health, it's not super required. The only other reason to sleep is that I noticed that certain quests might not finish, like those, here, let me see if I have any here. These blue quests here, like you see how this quest here is orange and this one is blue. I had an issue where a blue quest was not rolling over until I slept, and that was the broken bridge report. I turned it in, but nothing ever happened with the bridge. And then once I fell asleep, the bridge was repaired. So once you turn in some of these blue quests, you might want to make sure that you sleep again just to make sure that they finish. But other than that, there's no reason to sleep every day, and it gives you more time to gather things and fight monsters and get better armor and stuff like that. The next thing I want to talk about is adding armor to your character and also upgrading your weapon. These are really important, especially early on, because when you first start the game, you only have 40 HP. Now, if you look at the top where my character's HP is, you'll see that I have 80. That's because I have added some armor, and that helps with survivability. The other thing I did is I decided to get a bow instead of a sword, and I have also upgraded the bow once already. So it's really helpful to have upgraded weapons, especially when you're fighting tougher characters. You will be upgrading your weapons and getting new weapons at the blacksmith here in Paw Village. That is Shamrock, and you can talk to them to find out what you need to get the weapons that you want. There are usually like monster items that you need to give to them in order to get your weapon upgraded. And you would just talk to them to find out what you need. Now, for example, for the bow, you need wood and a mushroom and paw pennies, which is the in-game currency. And then, as you can see, to get the hunting bow, which is what I have, you then need these items. But you also need to have the original beginner bow in order to upgrade it. And then same thing for the sword. You start with a beginner sword at the beginning of the game, but it is recommended to get this upgraded as quickly as possible so that you can do a little bit more damage. Like I said, I prefer the bow. It just keeps enemies at a distance, and I like that. The other thing I want to talk about is armor. Now, when I first started playing this game, I did not have this armor. I did not have this amazing mushroom hat, and I did not have these wings. These are all things that you need to make, and to do that, you go to Rufus, who is the blacksmith here in Rivero Fortress, and he has everything here that you need to know. And currently, like I said, I have wooden armor. In order to get that, you have to gather these certain items. I'm currently working on getting iron armor, but it is going to take me some time. There is also some more mage-friendly armor. I have not really looked into this yet, but I guess this is more for if you decide you would rather use... Oh, it's actually better for ranged characters, so this is probably something I should look into for the bow, but also for magic use. And this is all the stuff that you need. He will also sell helms, and like I said, I got the mushroom hat from him, and you can go all the way up to hunter's hat. There's the wings. These wings, let's talk about these wings real quick. The evil wings are super helpful early in the game. I actually got them before I even got armor, and the reason for that is that they will lifesteal enemies. So anytime you hit an enemy with your attacks, it could be like your special ranged attacks, like I can't use it right now because I don't have anything targeted, but the LB button in the lower right there, if you see that here, let me get that. That's this right here. Anytime you use that, you can also get some health back, although it does not work for magic spells. It will work for any weapon that you shoot and then hit something with. So I highly recommend getting those wings because you'll get your health back really quickly. However, as time goes on and you have a lot more health, that 1 HP per hit is really not going to help you out all that much. But at the very beginning, I really recommend doing it because it's going to cut down on the amount of food that you need to eat. The next thing I want to talk about is dodging. Now here I've got a rotten onion here, and as you can see, I am dodging. Whenever they have those highlighted attacks on the ground, you want to avoid those because that is like their stronger attack, and depending on the enemy, it could do a lot of damage to you if you're not careful. So here, as you can see, I just took 8 damage, and then now you can see what the wings do. I am getting 1 HP back every time I hit that particular enemy. You can take a look in your options menu and then just check here to see what your dodge is. For me, it's B. I'm using an Xbox 360 controller on the PC, and yeah, you just click it. It works very similarly to if you've ever played like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's kind of how the stamina bar works there too. It's that kind of round circle thing, and once you run out, you can't dodge roll anymore. So be careful, be mindful. I haven't seen a way to increase my stamina yet. I'm not sure if I can, but if you can, then it's good to note that maybe get some armor with that or something along the way. Like I said, I haven't finished everything in this game. I still have a lot of areas to look into. So this is just basically beginner tips, for the early times in the game. But yeah, dodge roll, it will be your friend. Use it as often as you need to. It'll keep you from taking really heavy hits and dying too frequently. However, if you do die, it's not that big of a deal. You just get sent back to your house. You don't lose any items like you would in Stardew. That's not the case here. You're going to have everything. You're not going to lose money. Nothing really is a problem if you do that. The next thing I want to talk about is quests. Now, I currently don't have a lot of quests right now. I have one for Shamrock, which is the blacksmith in Claw Village. And I have another from Commander Hazel, who is the tiger here in Rivera Fortress. And basically, just try and make sure you do your quests as often as possible. It's super helpful to be able to get those done because not only do you get paw pennies for it, do you get items, it's also going to progress the story, but also it's going to unlock new areas. Like I just finished a quest to unlock this bridge right here. Previously, this bridge was broken and you have to do a quest to fix it, or you can't access these new areas down here. So make sure you do all of the quests that you find. Whenever you see any character with like a little piece of paper and an exclamation point above their head, talk to them so that you can get the quest. There are tons of quests to do. Lots of villagers are doing them, and that'll help you progress in the story. There's even some farming quests, cooking quests, gathering quests. There's all sorts of quests. So just do as many as you can, as often as you can. The other thing I wanted to mention is these items that drop. So see, I got these clovers from the onions that I was just fighting, and monsters are always going to drop an item, and you may be tempted to sell them. I highly recommend that you don't, because you're going to need those items for armor upgrades, for weapon upgrades, and possibly even for quests along the way. I can't show you anything for Rufus, but if you looked back when I was looking at the armor upgrades, he was requesting all sorts of items, and usually those are item drops from monsters. So I recommend that you don't sell everything. Keep it on hand. And actually, give me a moment. I am going to run back to my farm so I can show you where you can store it all. On your farm and on your field where you are growing your crops, there are 3 chests. Now, unfortunately, 2 of them are broken when you first start, but there is 1 chest that is available to use, and this is where I recommend you keep all of your monster drops, because you will need them eventually for various things. As you can see, I have them all here, and they will be useful as time goes on. The other suggestion I have is to build these as quickly as you can. I'm actually really close to getting one built. I just need a little bit more stone and coal, but try to get those as quickly as possible too, so that you have more storage. Now let's head back into town because there is something else I want to address over here. First off, make sure to check these chests in town. I do think you can hold on to items here and use these chests as temporary storages as well. But the other thing to note is that these chests will also sometimes have items in them that you can take out, such as food that you can use, and villagers will usually just put it there for you to use. The other thing to mention is that at this empty stall right here, every now and then, and only in the evening, a vendor will come up named Pumpkin, and Pumpkin is a pumpkin who sells bag upgrades. So as you can see, my bag is currently locked after the third row. So if you go and you talk to the pumpkin and you spend, I believe, 2,000 paw pennies, you can get the upgrade. The reason I don't have it yet is because last time he was here, I didn't have enough paw pennies, so I couldn't upgrade it, but I do recommend doing that quickly. And then the only other thing to note here is the teleportation stone. These are super important. Make sure to check them, to click on them every time you see them. There are also checkpoints along the way. Let me show you what those look like. These are the checkpoints here, and they will usually show up near dungeon areas. And like this area here is one of the first dungeons you'll encounter, where there are lots of enemies here to fight. So make sure you do that. Oh, by the way, I was mentioning the wings before, the evil wings. In order to get them, you need lots of bat wings. So the cave that I was just in has tons of bats. Go in there to get the bat wings. You'll get them really quickly. This checkpoint is just kind of like a little save point so that you can teleport here if you need to. Okay, let's talk about the next thing. So say you've killed all of the fluffies in one area, but you still need the bat wings here. If you still need more and you know that this is a good area to do it, you can actually go through a zone. Like, so you can zone out of the area you were in. I'm just using this dungeon as an example. You can use any zone for it. If you leave and then come back, the monsters will have respawned so that you can fight more of them. As you can see, I now have some more Karus here to fight, and there should be some more bats or, you know, gooeys. It's kind of random as to what shows up, but you can always reset the monsters if you need to, if you still need to fight and get more monsters or items from them as well. Okay, let's quickly talk about farming. Farming in this game is a little different from like Stardew Valley. It's not the primary thing that you need to worry about. It is still very important because it's how you earn money, and you are going to need the crops that you grow for various other quests. You can turn them into Timmy here. Timmy will make things like flour and oil for you, which you are going to need for other cooking projects, which you can get from Miss Apple. And if you talk to her, you can give her some items that you grew, such as onions or even carrots, to make meals, which will help you along the way. So it is super important to do some farming. Kiki is in charge of the farming. She will give you the quests for them, and she also sells the seeds. So make sure to visit her pretty often to get new seeds. I try to keep seeds growing on my farm as often as possible, and the farm is down here. So as you can see, my crops need to be watered, so I am going to grab my watering can. I do have the upgraded watering can, and that is actually part of a quest that Kiki will give you. And so my watering can water in a square, but the original starting watering can only does one square at a time. Now, here's something else to know about farming and a few other things. Every day at 7 a.m., you can see the time right here, is when crops will grow and possibly become harvestable. So you can't, water them more to get them to grow faster or anything. But every day at 7 a.m., they will grow. So probably by tomorrow at 7 a.m., my strawberries should be done because they are looking a little bit yellow. So just make sure, even if you're not sleeping, to come back to your farm after 7 a.m. every day to both water your crops and also harvest anything that you may need. The other thing is that at 7 a.m. is when, if you have sold something, which, by the way, your sales bin is over here. It's always important to sell stuff that you don't need anymore. Usually I recommend just selling crops, especially since you do need to save some of the monster drops for other items. But anything you sell in there will be sent to you as paw pennies at 7 a.m. the next day as well. So that is when basically the day resets. Weather is also going to change at 7 a.m. every day, so it might start raining or, you know, anything like that. I am back in Rivero Fortress to show you another tip here. Now, you can obviously sleep in your farm house. There's a little bed in there, and there's also a book to save at. But if you happen to be in Rivero Fortress and you don't feel like teleporting all the way back to Paw Village to go to your farm, you can actually save at the inn here and then talk to Celine, the innkeeper, and you can sleep here if you need to reset a quest or get your health back. And it's completely free. I know if you're familiar with other RPGs like Final Fantasy, you're probably used to being charged to sleep in an inn. You don't have to do that here. It's free. I don't know if that's the case everywhere or if it's just at Rivero Fortress, but it is free here if you need to sleep. Another thing to note about monsters is any monster that shows up with a blue name, like these gooeys, are not going to automatically start attacking you. You can run up to them, you can step on them, you can dance in front of them. They're not going to attack you for no reason. They're pretty friendly unless you start attacking them, and then in which case you'll have to fight. Any enemies with a red name are going to attack you no matter what, so if you don't feel like fighting them, just steer clear. There are also special boss enemies that show up with purple names, but you do need to make sure that you have a strong enough weapon to fight them because they can be super tough. The earliest one you'll probably encounter is the King Gooey, who is, I believe, by Riverfield or possibly West Pawfield. It's one of those two. I can never remember which one. But that one, even with the weapon that I have and the armor, is still pretty tough to fight, so just keep that in mind. And finally, I am on to my last tip, and that is to make sure that you visit Sage Albee. Sage Albee is part of the main storyline, and he is who teaches you magic. And in order to get new spells, you need to go to his cauldron and turn in these items here, and they will give you new spells. You're gonna occasionally need a different combination of each in order to get different kinds, but there's fire, there's ice, there's wind, and there's earth. Earth tends to be a little bit more defensive, and then obviously wind tends to be a little bit more crowd control-y, and then these two, same actually with ice. Ice is also crowd control, and then there's also fire, which does the most damage and also will burn your enemies. So be sure to come here and go to his cauldron whenever you receive these spheres so that you can get the spells. Each spell requires a certain number of spheres and certain other items, which I haven't even unlocked yet. And then you can also change out which spells you want onto your bar, onto your hot bar. So as you can see down here, whoops, I clicked that button by mistake. As you can see down here, there's a hot bar. You can assign which skills you want on your hot bar down there. So I think that's pretty much everything. I think I've covered all of the tips that I've learned over the last few days of playing. Like I said, these are just very beginner quests. I haven't gotten that super advanced in the game yet. But, you know, if you're just starting out and you're struggling, hopefully you found these helpful. Don't forget to leave me a like and subscribe and click the bell to know when my videos go live. It really helps out the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. I have links for both of those down in the description box below. And you can become a channel member, which is an optional $1.99 or $4.99 a month by clicking the join button down below. I hope you all enjoyed. And also you can check out my Kitaria Fables Let's Play series here as well by clicking the eye up above. Hopefully y'all have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.